Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Centrella show. Today is a tough day for me, I feel like, for this country and for a lot of us. I consider myself a very empathic person, and the last couple days have been emotionally very hard and very heavy on me. And so I wanted to just do a short podcast today to share some of my thoughts and also how I am processing what's happening, trying to, as best I can, find solutions, trying to find things that empower us in a very scary time in our country. And a lot of what I've been thinking is new and is fresh and it's just coming to me. But if you know anything about me, you know that I share my thoughts, I share my opinions, I share my beliefs. I've never shied away from that ever. And so I encourage you, whatever side of the aisle you are on, that you listen to this episode. I'm not going to make it very long, but I do think that this is really important. And I think this is part of the discussion that I am not hearing online anywhere. I'm not hearing people talk about a solution that could potentially work for not all of us, certainly, but could bring some of us together. And I want to give a little context to that. So, if you've read my books, listened to any of my content, you know I'm very tools driven. I am very, to me, the definition of empowerment is having tools, knowing when to use them, and knowing how to use them so that you do not feel helpless and you're able to control your controllables. That's kind of the baseline of everything that I teach. And I teach tools on how to do all those things. And I do that by example. That is how I learn everything that I teach, is because I am living proof of it. I'm testing it out first. I'm trying it out first. So this episode is me literally doing that in real time, still processing my thoughts, still trying to get things to start to make sense in my own mind. I'm sure it will be much more articulate down the line, and uh, I will have made more sense of some of my thought process later, but I wanted to share it right now. So the first thing that I want to say is I a million percent um, condemn with every piece of my body the executions that have happened in Minnesota. That is without question. And again, if you know me at all, you're not surprised by this. I have shared my beliefs over the years this entire time. Back when I had a blog, Thought Stories Life, I was blogging about immigrant rights back in 2015. And this hits very close to home for me. My best friends are all minorities. Every single one of my best friends are minorities. Um, my ex-boyfriend, who I loved very dearly, is Black. Almost most of the people that are in my life are Black or Latina or brown. And so this is very close to home for me. It's close to home for my children, and it's not abstract. Uh, and not only that, to me personally, I am an advocate at heart. I've been an advocate my entire life. I started out getting all of my fellow high schoolers to register to vote back in high school. Uh, and I was like the only one that cared. I was the only one that knew that there was a presidential election even happening in my tiny little town. I staged a walkout and got the news cameras to come. So this is not a new thing for me. And, I think there's a lot of labeling going on in our country right now that has villainized both sides of the aisles, has tried to um, make whatever we believe in be the enemy, and I'm just not going to subscribe to that. Uh, it's been going on for so long that I think we're pretty numb to it at this point, and we don't even really recognize it or notice it. But as I say, that's how the frog boils in the pot, right? It happens slowly. It happens gradually over time. And that is the most dangerous way for it to happen. So if you want to label me a woke bitch because I've been that before that was ever a fucking term. Okay. This is not new. My beliefs are strong. I believe in rights for all, human rights, immigrant rights, women's rights, the right to choose, all of that. Okay. But that aside, I really started thinking a lot the last 2 days about what has gone wrong and where did it go wrong. So, to help you understand my thought process, which comes out in my books and in my coaching, I'm always looking at whatever problem I'm facing in life and I'm trying to backtrack. I'm trying to find an origin point or a decision point where then I can map out what has happened in the middle, what I can change moving forward. Is there anything I can change moving forward? I also ask myself, like, when was the last time something was going right? What is going right? How can I focus on what's going right? How do we bring whatever has worked in the past into today to get it to work now? So that is kind of what has been happening a lot in my brain. And I've been sharing that in real time on my socials. And again, I don't feel super articulated about it right now because a lot of these thoughts are just coming together. But one big one that I think is really important that I think we should be talking more about, or at least just allowing it to sit with us a little bit, is as a country, we went wrong together somewhere along the line. And if I look back to, say, 2015, when a lot of this divisiveness started, everyone kind of picked a camp, hunkered down, and just fought in their corner no matter what. And we stopped listening to each other. We stopped hearing each other. And that's only gotten worse over the last like 2 years. And when I've started to try to open my mind a little bit to see what has gone wrong, to see then how we can fix this and how we can band together so that we can really get some change to stick and stop literally hating each other, which is just the result that propaganda was intentionally trying to create and has created. Our revolt against that is us actually coming together. And so, what does that look like? And I started listening to some stories of people who have left MAGA, whose eyes have been opened, who is starting to see the light, if you will, and starting to see what I feel like a lot of us have known for a long time, that this was really dangerous and we did not want this to happen in our country. And I've been trying to hear what they've had to say because if we don't listen to that, if we don't try to understand, then this is only going to get exponentially worse. I think if we can appreciate the fact that the mask is falling, the eyes are being opened, and people are trying now, even if they didn't before, and even if that makes us angry, we have to em- embrace that. We have to say, you know what? I believe in a second chance. Let's come together and let's start to figure this out. What was it that alienated you maybe to the point where you felt like that was your best option? Because in that little piece right there is something we need to hear and we need to know. And I had multiple coaching calls and podcast interviews today. And one of the coaching calls that I had, um, was with an executive in corporate. And there's all kinds of stuff obviously happening in corporate that is unsettling as well. And, you know, so many of the programs that we truly care about have been cut. There's layoffs going on. There's all these things going on that feel really heavy. And then there's all this stuff going on in our world at large that also feels heavy. And what we were kind of talking about and really thinking through is what if, and I'm speaking about Democrats because I'm a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, and I think our mission initially was to fight for those without a voice, was to be inclusive, was to um, protect marginalized communities. I believe in every single one of those things. Don't get me wrong. 1,000% I believe in every one of those things. I believe DEI is needed. But we're living in a world right now that doesn't agree with that. And what I want to pose a question to is, did what we set out to do, in other words, try to be as inclusive as we possibly could, try to elevate marginalized voices, did that in the end alienate enough people who then felt like they were no longer part of whatever, of the community, of America, of us as a whole? I don't know. To the point where they chose Trump as an option. And I think that's going to be a really hard question for any of us Democrats to really look at because it feels so almost visceral. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's so much anger right now on the internet where it's like, fuck you. You did this. Fuck you. We don't care if you're sorry now. It's too late. Blah, 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 blah. But yo, like, who is that helping? How is that going to solve this problem? How does that then make us any better than them? How does that make us any better than them? And I think both sides this whole time have been like, we're right, we're better than you, we're better than you, and everyone else is the enemy. But what if it wasn't? What if it was just a propaganda bullshit this whole time that was trying to get us to this point? And what if both sides look at it and say, you know what? I didn't mean to alienate other people. I have a son. I have a young man who his generation felt alienated. And I know that the Democratic viewpoint is immediately, well, fuck white men. Like, it is what it is. They've, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm a mother of a white son who is a good human, who is a kind human, who tries to show up right in this world. And I don't want him to feel alienated or vilified, just like any other human doesn't want to feel that. And so I guess the question that I'm posing is, did the cat chase its tail, or whatever the saying is? Did the good that we set out to do actually backfire and create some of this? And who does it help if we stand in our two corners and scream at each other and hate each other? Who does that help? I think there is a solution here. And I feel insane saying it because I feel like I'm like this one little person who's like being like, hey guys, maybe we could listen to each other. Maybe we could try to come together for a common enemy. Maybe we aren't the enemy. Maybe we could fight this together. Maybe more of us together is better than less of us apart. But kind of that's what I'm saying. What if? Maybe that's super fucking utopian and insane. But what if? Like, why aren't people posing these questions? Because if I look back and again, the process of how my tools work is you sit down, and one of the very first things that you do when you notice that you're spinning out, and I was the other day after the shooting, I probably consumed 20 hours of fucking content, and I don't do that. I never do that. Never, never, never. I try to stay off my phone as much as possible. I try not to listen to news. I try very hard to thread the line of being informed because I don't want to have my head in the sand, but also not consume. But after the shooting, that's all I did. That whole day was consume. And so what I always teach is like, feel all the feelings. Like, you are human. Let yourself process through everything, through grief, through rage, through anger. I went through all that. You can go look at my videos if you don't believe me. There's versions of each of those things. But then I woke up yesterday morning and I was like, okay, I have to implement my tools. And my tools are for 24 hours, I can spin out, I can feel whatever I need to feel. And this is true of any situation that I go through in life, whether, it's a difficult conversation I'm having with someone, if it's whatever the situation is. Okay. So I'm applying it to this. And I woke up, and one of the first questions that I always ask is there anything right now to be grateful for? Because just generally asking that question helps to stop the spin for me and helps me kind of center, helps me take a big deep breath, helps me see if I can find anything at all positive anywhere in my orbit. Um, so that I'm not just totally down the rabbit hole of worst case scenario thinking, because that's what a lot of the content is designed to help us do. And so I thought, well, when was the last time I felt really proud to be an American? And here's the thing for me, and I'll speak for me, but I think maybe other Democrats have felt this way too. For the last 10 or so years, since the term American has been redefined and very much associated with MAGA, I have disassociated myself from that term because I didn't feel like it represented who I am or what I believed America to be. And so it has made me feel displaced in my own country and made me feel like I don't know that I can be proud of this. I don't know that this is how I want to identify. And that was something I had never even thought of until like 2 days ago when I was trying to really sit with this and think I didn't always feel this way. So when was the last time that I felt really proud to be an American? And I had that warm and fuzzy feeling that makes you feel like, oh my God, this is the best country on earth. Like, I love this country. I'm so grateful to be here. And I thought back, and for me, it was right after 9/11. It was like on the day of 9/11. It was one of the scariest days I've ever lived through in my entire life, one of the most uncertain, but it was also the most of my whole life that felt, this is going to sound crazy, but the most like almost warm and fuzzy from a connection standpoint. It was a moment where every single person you passed on a street, every single person you talked to, you felt camaraderie with, you felt a joint connection to. No one was asking what side of the aisle you were on. No one was saying, hey, did you vote for my president or not my president? We were collectively helping each other, helping our neighbors, loving each other. Literally, all of Congress got on the steps and sang together America the Beautiful, and we all cried. Like, can you imagine Congress standing on the steps and even standing together near each other on the steps at once? You know, and I think that's when I really realized, like, whoa, holy shit, like the divide is really, really big. How could we ever, as a joint collective of Americans, ever feel that way again, where we felt like we were united together against a common enemy, which was foreign terrorism? But now there is a common enemy, you guys. And again, I don't care if you are a Democrat, a Republican, a middle, a left, a right, whatever the fucking labels people want to put on. I don't care. I'm saying if you're a human and you believe in human rights and you believe in upholding the rights that we've always thought we had because they're constitutional, then together we can fight for that. We can fight against what is literally killing citizens. We can come together and fight that together. Because I don't care if you were ex mega and now you see that it's wrong to execute a freaking ICU nurse in the street in front of your very own eyes. If you feel like that is wrong and you're no longer on board with that, then I want you, I want you to come together and together us shut this shit down. And here's the truth that probably neither side wants to really hear. I don't think the Democrats want to hear this at all either. But you know what? We can't win this war on our own. I know there's this feeling of we are the vigilantes, we got this, we only want people who think like us, but that is actually anti-democratic views if you really think about it, because we've always believed in freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom to be a free thinker, the freedom to express your opinions, whatever they are, and the ability to do that and be respected. That's part of our core values. So if we're no longer showing up like that, then are we being hypocrites? Are we literally practicing what we do not preach? I'm confused. So I'm just proposing, can we be a little bit more open-minded? And I am not talking about being open-minded towards ICE. Let me be fucking clear, okay? Because to me, they are the Gestapo. To me, Trump is following Hitler's playbook. Study World War II history, and it will scare the shit out of you because it's fucking playbook style. It's not a stretch. Trust and believe. I've done my research. Um, but we can bring in alternate viewpoints to fight that, to fight tyranny, to fight injustice, to fight what is happening, the illegal takeover of power in our country, the elimination of democracy. We, the people, the democracy for the people, by the people, we, the people, can stand up and say, fuck you, not today, bitch, not today, Satan, not today. We're coming together. It's not okay with us. You're not fucking getting a rite of passage here. Enough is enough. And I think statistically, it's about 3/4 of the country now that there's been so many defectors who believe this way, who think this way. So guess what? We're the majority. We're the majority. And if you're still stuck in the mindset of hating MAGA so much that you can't see that they are the minority, yes, he won the election, but a big chunk of those have realized that was a fucking mistake. So let's welcome the men. Let's come together. Let's take this moment to rise. Violence in reparation is not going to make this better. Let me just say that is going to unleash absolute hell. So what we can do is we can start changing the fucking dialogue. We can start changing the rhetoric. We can stop blaming each other for this, because even if you believe completely opposite to what I believe, you alone did not make this happen. Even if you voted for this, you alone did not make this happen. And so there is one person we can fucking blame who did make this happen. And in my opinion, that's Trump. So if that's what you believe, no matter if you don't believe in abortion rights, guess what? I still want you over here. I still want you to fight this tyranny with me, okay? You do not have to be woke. You do not have to be liberal. You do not have to believe in all the things that I believe in. But you do have to believe in democracy. You do have to believe that we shouldn't be shot. We do have to believe that we need to take care of our neighbors. You do have to understand that unless you're Native American, you are either an immigrant yourself or a descendant of immigrants. Hello? This country only goes back 250 years as it is, 259 years as it is. So even if your ancestors were on that boat, you're still a fucking immigrant, okay? So you have to believe in some of the basic human rights stuff. I think the other pieces that we've been fighting about for so long, I think we could probably hear each other on those. And I think we could come together. And I know this sounds radical, but I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I would be a complete fucking hypocrite if I was pretending like this did not happen. And there's a lot of people out there who are pretending this didn't happen. There's a lot of people out there who are hoping it's going to blow over real quick and they never have to mention this and they never have to acknowledge what happened. And I hope that I just got to say, like, my opinion of those people has plummeted. I just do not have respect for someone who cannot come out and condemn executions, cannot say that this is wrong. Um, and for me, this is a tough week because this is a week that me personally, I've been looking forward to for a year. Tomorrow, my book Think It comes out. Um, I've been working towards this date and this goal for an entire year. Exactly a year ago, I published chapter one on Substack, and I continued to write this book long before I had a publishing deal. I wrote from January last year until April, and I released chapters every single week and gave away the coaching to my beta group for free so that more people could learn these tools. And then I finally got a publishing deal for this book, and I've been working on this exact day tomorrow, which is release day, for the last year. Um, and I feel very conflicted about it. It makes me want to cry because I feel very conflicted about it. It feels very, very wrong and very selfish for me to even be talking about it in the same podcast as everything else I've just said. But like that's my real life right now. I'm trying to uh, I'm trying to find a way through this for myself, uh, and trying to find a way to help us get through this. At the same time, having this big, huge thing that I've worked a really long time for, um, and it feels selfish to take this moment to even talk about that, but I don't know how to process that right now. Um, but it's happening, whether whether I want to or not, whether the timing is good or not. It's still happening. I can't control any of that. All I can control is that I know that this book can do some good in the world. I know that this book can help people have the tools that I have and have been using over the last 3 days to try and calm my own nervous system, to try and help me think clearly, to try and help me think critically and outside of the box in a time that is very, very emotionally triggered. Um, and rightly so, but and I'm doing the best that I can to show up in the best way that I can. Sorry, it's a lot. Um, but I just wanted to share what was on my heart today. And I just want you to be a critical thinker. That's all I'm asking, really, at the end of the day. Just be a critical thinker. See if you can look at this from a whole lot of different sides that you have not looked at it yet. See if we can try to find any type of common ground, because I think the only way through this is for us to come together and for us to find um, a way to make those two beautiful humans, Renee Good, and Alex Preddy, make their lives matter, make them not have died in vain. If they were able to unite this country in a way that none of the politicians could ever even dream of doing, wouldn't that be a really beautiful thing? Wouldn't that honor them? All right. Until next time, everybody, we shall thrive.